Tanse, good evening. I'm Krisanachkate. Welcome to APTN National News. We begin in Saskatchewan, where Saskatchewan's First Nations Health Ombudsperson is calling for an independent body to investigate a number of incidents of alleged violence directed towards First Nations patients. Dr. Diane Lafond, along with the Federation of Sovereign Indigenous Nations, made the announcement in Saskatoon on Monday morning.
Today, the First Nations Health Ombudsperson is calling for an independent inquiry.
According to the Saskatchewan's First Nation Health Ombudsperson, Dr. Diane Lafond, there have been 20 severe cases involving Indigenous male patients within the Saskatchewan Health Authority, or SHA. The most recent incident involved the death of 36-year-old Trevor Dubois at Royal University Hospital in Saskatoon on January 9th.
Trevor had an open complaint with our office. Trevor was already a client of ours back in September regarding treatment that he had already received within the healthcare system. Now that's appalling. That's concerning.
While receiving treatment for brain cancer, Saskatoon police say security officers entered inside Dubois' patient room where an altercation took place. Security guards attempted to restrain the man, however he became unresponsive and later died. Police say an imitation gun, methamphetamine, and drug paraphernalia was later found in the room. The family says the imitation firearm was a cigarette holder and lighter that was pink and yellow, and Dubois wouldn't hurt anybody. Lafond, alongside the Federation of Sovereign Indigenous Nations, alleged systemic racism and unfair treatment in that case. They are now calling for an independent investigation that includes First Nation consultation and engagement.
Thorough investigation, hands off from the Saskatchewan Health Authority and hands off from the Saskatoon Police Services. It's got to be done independently.
We want action to ensure this never happens again. And if the province does not respond favorably, then we are prepared to launch a class action based on the 550 files that the First Nations Health Ombudsperson has as evidence.
Lafond noted that in the more than 550 complaints they received since opening their office, they are seeing a pattern of Indigenous male patients mostly involved, including Bryden Lefever's incident at Prince Albert's Victoria Hospital, where security guards allegedly removed him from the ER waiting room and left him outside in minus 30-degree weather. In a statement to APTN News, SHA says it's committed to ensuring health facilities are safe and secure spaces for patients, free from racism and discrimination against First Nation and Métis families. Saskatchewan's Ministry of Health also announced last week that an independent external review has been ordered that will look at hospital safety and security. Shaw added, the death of Mr. Dubois remains under active investigation by the Saskatoon Police Service and the Saskatchewan Coroner's Service, and the Shaw is fully cooperating with these investigations. Metal detectors are also being installed at most healthcare facilities, and healthcare workers are also calling for more security staff. This after the Saskatchewan NDP released these pictures last week of weapons seized, including machetes and knives, at a single metal detector at Royal University Hospital in Saskatoon. Lafond is also calling for security guards to wear mandatory body cameras and that the security footage captured will be held longer than 30 days for investigations to run more smoothly. With roughly 8 weeks since a landfill search in Winnipeg began for a First Nations woman, Manitoba's Premier Wab Kinew says there are some encouraging signs that crews are looking in the right area.
Got material out of the landfill that shows us we're in the right date range and also shows us that we are in the right route for where these trucks were picking up landfill material from.
The search for Ashley Shingoose began on December 1st of last year at the city-owned Brady Road landfill. Premier Wab Kinew told reporters at an unrelated press conference the search has turned up materials with dates that appeared to line up with the timeline when Shingoose went missing. While there are signs, Kinew continues to remind the public the search doesn't guarantee results. Shingus was believed to have been killed in early March of 2022. She was the first of 4 women to be brutally murdered by a serial killer in late 2022. On August of 2024, he was given a life sentence with no chance of parole for 25 years. During the court process, Shingus was only known as Buffalo Woman. Her identity was revealed in March of 2025 after Winnipeg police re-interviewed the killer, and her DNA was found on a pair of pants from inside his apartment. Last fall, Ganawage entrepreneur Robbie Dixon announced he was suing Quebec for $8.1 million, citing a violation of nation-to-nation trade, as the province is confiscating his tobacco shipments en route to other First Nations. Our APTN reporter Savannah Craig reports.
Great.
This vehicle was seized during a delivery to Tyendinaga Mohawk territory. Not an unusual experience for the drivers at Rainbow Tobacco.
What we're doing is nation to nation. We have treaty rights saying that this is completely legal for us. So I felt like a real victim of all these seizures going forward.
So we made 287, running at like 3,500?
Robbie Dixon is the president of Rainbow Tobacco, a Ganawage-based tobacco manufacturer-distributor. Over the last year, Rainbow Tobacco had multiple seizures of tobacco products en route to other First Nations. Seizures have been occurring in Quebec, carried out by Provincial Police Force the Sûreté du Québec. According to court documents, Revenue Quebec cites one of the seizures is due to distribution and sale outside of Quebec.
You know your machine, Jesse.
APTN News spoke with Dixon in the fall of 2025 when he announced a lawsuit against Quebec.
We're suing for $8.1 million, which is based on the actual losses of those delivery shipments and the loss of business that they caused.
Now there have been developments in the case.
We received notice a few months later that they made a mistake and the shipment and the entire load was destroyed.
Dixon says Rainbow Tobacco applied to protect their product from being destroyed after it was seized. He says the Crown agreed, then later said it had been accidentally destroyed. In court documents, Revenue Quebec states it was unaware the product was requested to be returned.
On the 5th of December, we learned Quebec had destroyed a product that was supposed to be the subject of a court-ordered disposal and return.
Dixon's lawyer, Julian Faulkner, says the product was worth more than $30,000.
What happens when people or institutions or governments go where they shouldn't be and aren't supposed to be? Mistakes happen, and this is just a reflection of the blunders.
Rainbow Tobacco's lawsuit against Quebec is currently facing delays. Dixon said he was told by Revenue Quebec that it cannot provide a representative for the case in the coming months.
We were looking to get in front of a judge as fast as possible to try to stop this interventions in our trade network. And if you can't get some type of emergency decision making, then the legal system really isn't fair. That's how I see it right now.
Revenue Quebec told APTN News it would not comment on this case as it is before the courts. Savannah Craig, APTN National News, Montreal.
We're always looking for your feedback or story ideas. Here's how to continue the conversation with us. If you have a story you want to share, send us an email to news@aptn.ca. And to read and watch our stories, go to www.aptnnews.ca. You can also find us online on your favorite social media sites, including TikTok, YouTube, LinkedIn, and X. Follow APTN News to join the conversation and see our latest stories. An interactive art installation is challenging healthcare leaders to rethink anti-racism and cultural safety in healthcare delivery across the Northwest Territories. Our APTN reporter Charlotte Moore-Jacobs takes you through the display.
For Charlotte Greenland, the Dene way of being strong as two people is deeply personal and is reflective in her work with North Star, a new art exhibit in the NWT capital which aims to develop a culturally safer and more equitable health system for Indigenous people.
And what I found most grounding was walking into the tent, and the as we say in Gwich'in, or the spruce boughs, that smell is something that's been a part of my life. You know, I grew up going out muskrat trapping in tents like this, and that smell grounded me right from the start.
Step into this immersive, experiential learning project, a creation from Northern artists and scholars.
In the Northwest Territories, there were 14 officially recognized residential schools.
Audio guides participants through chapters of colonial history and systemic racism, and pays homage to Gwich'in understandings of vitai, personal strength, and gutai, communal strength.
Indigenous people never had a good relationship with Canada. All the policies and programs, everything has always been to address the Indian problem. And so reconciliation doesn't really address the issue for me. So one of the things that I like about it, I guess we have to remind people, is that this is the history has been.
It is a practice of looking.
As more is revealed, the portals open not only to creative expressions, but directives for better outcomes for Indigenous clients.
We will walk through the anti-Indigenous racism.
Suggestions on models of care rooted in education, language, justice, and healing. Lead organizer of North Star and Director of Community Culture and Innovation, Nina Larson, says the project is part of a territorial push for the healthcare system to better reflect culture and needs of residents.
Is to really model what we want the healthcare system to be if we think of the future of health, which is informed choice and informed consent.
The exhibit is part of a 3-day primary healthcare summit in Yellowknife, drawing upwards of 70 leaders from across the country whose work in the healthcare sector focuses on Indigenous health.
We know, like, right across the country that the primary care system is not working, and we need to think about it differently, and we need to really truly be innovative.
While not currently available to the public, organizers say it has the potential to be, based on feedback so far.
We're wanting to look at a new way of doing healthcare. Education needs to be there in partnering with that. And again, that Indigenous knowledge, the way in which we do things, the way in which we have educated our people, those are the practices that need to be brought in. Those worldviews need to be there.
Charlotte Mort-Jacobs, APTN National News, Yellowknife.
Our Fraser Needham is up next to explain what will be discussed in this season's news session. We'll be right back. Welcome back. After a 6-week break, MPs returned to the House of Commons in Ottawa on Monday for the winter session of Parliament. APTN's Fraser Needham joins us now to talk about what might be on this year's agenda. Fraser Needham, thanks so much for speaking with us. First off, can you tell our viewers some of the things that were on the agenda today for the first day of Parliament?
Okay, it started off this morning with Prime Minister Mark Carney in a local grocery store here in Ottawa to announce something called the Canada Groceries and Essentials Benefit. It just basically replaces the GST credit. And so the government's announcing quite a significant thing to help people with the rising cost of groceries. It's a 50% increase for the first year, and that could basically be as much as $1,890 this year, and then about $1,400 for the rest of the 5 years that it's been announced for. So certainly they're kind of bringing things back to cost of living sort of things on the first day of Parliament. That of course then dominated question period, with the Conservatives of course not wanting to go against this, but saying that they'd like to see much more to address affordability in the way of tax cuts, and that would include sort of getting rid of the the industrial carbon tax is something that they mentioned during question period, that they think the Liberals should go further in making life more affordable for Canadians.
Yeah, cost of living is definitely on the minds of all of us. Fraser, what are some of the Indigenous items that may be on the legislative agenda in this session as well?
Okay, well, I think there's two in particular. The first one would be the reintroduction of the First Nations Clean Water Act. Of course, this died on the order paper in the last Parliament before there was an election, so it's something they need to simply just reintroduce. a lot of people thought that would be done in the fall session. It wasn't. And so the Prime Minister committed to it at the APTN Assembly here recently in Ottawa in December that he would that they would put that forward. There's a lot of worries though what it might be, because people think it would have already been reintroduced because they did have legislation. So people are worried that it will be lesser than what was originally proposed. And it wasn't something that was mentioned by the House Leader Stephen McKinnon as priorities in the session. So we'll see, where that kind of plays. And there's so much going on internationally. I wouldn't expect to see it right away in the agenda. The other thing is Bill S2, and that's something that further changes to the Indian Act registration that was introduced in the Senate actually in the last session. There's quite a big dust up over how it would play out. The Senate ended up in committee basically saying that they wanted to get rid of the second generation cutoff, which is something the government said was not what they wanted to do or go that far. Again, with that piece of legislation, I'm not really sure what will happen, because the government and Minister Mandy Galmasi, who's the IC minister, was firmly against what the senators were trying to do, said that they would have to have more consultation in order to do that. So I could see if they do introduce it, the government killing it, or them just pushing it down the way and not kind of sitting on it and not introducing it at all.
And finally, Fraser, what are the chances of an election in 2026?
Well, I think they're reasonable. A few weeks ago, people were saying, well, that the government does want a majority. They've had 2 MPs from the Conservatives cross the floor, so that they, that would be one way to getting toward it, because they are close. But I think now with Carney's speech in Davos last week at the World Economic Forum, standing up directly to Trump, saying that middle countries have to work together against the hegemon, which clearly is the United States, that's getting a lot of good press. And it's there's some polls out that have put out his numbers at as much as, actually the party's numbers as much as 8% ahead of the Conservatives. So I think, his numbers have always been pretty good against Poilievre's. If they stick with Poilievre in their convention going into the weekend, which it looks like they will do, I wouldn't be surprised if the Liberals sort of tried to bait the Conservatives into an election. They sort of did that on the budget last year, but the opposition parties backed down. But I don't think they could do that again. It would be an embarrassment. And of course, the NDP will have a new leader. So I wouldn't rule it out. It wouldn't be right away, but I think really the government would frame it as, they need a majority to do the things they need to do to stand up to Donald Trump, and that would be sort of a perfect way to sort of go into an election. I think it's probably something, depending on how things have gone in the last few weeks, something Canadians may accept. So, but I guess we'll have to stay posted.
We'll have to leave it there, Fraser. That's Fraser Needham reporting from Ottawa. We have more news after the break. Don't go away. Welcome back. Time now for our photo of the day. It's a chilly day in Norway House, Cree Nation, located in northern Manitoba, and Christopher B. Clark is just trying to stay warm and enjoy a beautiful clear sky. Thanks for sharing, Chris. If you have a picture you want to share, send us your pictures to share@aptn.ca. Time now for a look at tomorrow's weather forecast. On the East Coast, St. John's -4, Charlottetown -5, Kirkgrave -17, Happy Valley, Goose Bay sunny and -18, Quebec City -12, St. Jovite -11, Ottawa partly cloudy and -8, Toronto -9, clear skies in Timmins at -10, Thunder Bay -13, sunny in Norway House at -19, Puckatawagan -18, -16 in Princess Harbour, Dauphin -15, clear skies in Regina at -12, Yorkton -16, La Ronge -19, Stony Rapids -21, cloudy in Peace River at -2, Fort McMurray -12, 0 in Medicine Hat, Lethbridge 5, 11 in Vancouver, Tofino showers in 10, Clear skies in Fort Nelson at -12. Partly cloudy in Smithers at 1. -26 in Rock River. -30 in Old Crow. Sunny in Fort Simpson at -16. Watee -22. Sax Harbor -31. Colville Lake -19. -14 in Chesterfield. Baker Lake -21. And Clyde River -18. Iqaluit -15. A documentary showcasing the importance of basketball to Indigenous nations on the West Coast is now being shown around the world. APTN's Tina House brings us that story.
It needs to be breezy, right? It's tough being the best.
Saints and Warriors is a documentary showcasing how basketball has kept Indigenous nations on the West Coast connected and strong.
And then you have culture being abolished, how we dressed, how we walked, how we talked. Everything around that was taken away.
So when they took our gatherings away, what do we have? We have basketball.
Patrick Shannon is the producer, writer, and director of the documentary.
Saints and Warriors follows my local village team, the Skidegate Saints, who are widely considered one of the greatest Indigenous basketball teams to play on the coast, often likened to the Chicago Bulls in the 90s.
Shannon is originally from Haida Gwaii, and he says this film isn't just about basketball, it's about culture.
Basketball is a bit of a bridge from the past into the present.
An historic agreement has been signed in the community of Skidegate on Haida Gwaii.
The Haida Nation made history on April the 14th, 2024, when they signed the first of its kind land agreement for Aboriginal title with the province of BC. The deal gave the Haida Nation rights, title, and recognition of over a 10,000 square kilometer archipelago of around 200 islands.
It's an exciting story, it's fun, it's using sport as an amazing entryway point in to learn about Haida culture, Haida history, and to see this amazing story of present-day sovereignty, but also relationship building and reconciliation in action.
And for Patrick, he's proud that this documentary is now being seen around the world.
This has been screening across Canada and the United States. We're going to New Zealand in March, but it's currently available online to rent or buy on Apple TV, Amazon, YouTube, but starting January 26th, we'll be streaming on Crave.
Tina House, APTN National News, North Vancouver.
Thank you, Tina. APTN National News Daytime is back again tomorrow midday. Please join us then. From our reporting staff from across the country and from our HQ in downtown Winnipeg, Miigwech Masicho, hi hi. Thank you for watching. We'll see you again next day.